Well, hello everybody. How are you? Welcome back to Unstuck. We are out in the backyard today.
In our hammock.
In the hammock. We locked the boys inside the house. Actually, some of you asked about last week what the boys ended up doing. Do you remember?
I think video games. But
probably.
They were alive.
Yes.
They survived.
They survived without us for 10 minutes, which was nice. How many of you are feeling stuck at home with the kids? Anybody feeling that? Well, that's why we've been wanting to do this, just to kind of help moms and dads, single parents, and with kids to help get unstuck. Because the tendency of, as we've done this, have to be on this stay-at-home order here, the tendency is to feel stuck at home. So we want to encourage people to kind of flip the way we are thinking to really maximize the opportunity that we have. We don't want kids going, in months after feeling like it was such a bad thing, being stuck at home or being at home with their parents from, hearing from their mom and their dad if somebody's like, oh, I just was stuck with kids the whole time. So that's why we're doing this. And today we wanted to talk about siblings. So if you are a single child household, maybe this wouldn't have as much help for you today. But yeah, we're talking how to deal with siblings who kind of feel stuck with each other. And Stacy, do you want to say something about how our kids, because we've got 5 of them, 5 boys, how crazy it can be?
I think people's perception sometimes can be like, oh, look at their 5 boys everywhere we go, just a trail behind us, and people think they must just play together so well and get along. And while we have moments of playing along, the majority of the time is not like that, and they definitely have their disagreements, and they can be so competitive, and especially being boys, so finding the right activities for them that will work with all their personalities can be challenging,
right? Because some of them are competitive and some of them are not, and so that kind of can be a challenge when somebody wants to win and somebody who wants to play just for the fun of a game or something. So that, and
I would when I was pregnant with our second, I always would tell our first, I'm growing you a best friend. I'm growing you a best friend. Just speak that into his life. And while I know right after that baby was born, we found him with Sharpie all over his body, and our oldest carrying him around by his toes a couple times. They had their sweet, precious
We're
moments.
Not negligent parents, but things happen.
So they definitely can butt heads at times and are not best friends all the time.
Right.
Or how I maybe had dreamt or told him that I was growing him a best friend. But we just keep reminding them over and over again that friends are going to come and go, but your brothers are there for you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And so it's important to nurture those relationships and really work on them.
Yeah, because as we speak life into that idea, it helps them be thinking that way from our words. And then to kind of go off of that, I have this idea in my mind, like, in quite some years down the road, because we do have all boys. I just think about, like, on their wedding day, just imagining like them wanting to have all of their brothers as groomsmen lined up there. That, to me, I'm gonna cry just thinking about just how awesome that would be. I know that happens, maybe not, who knows, but just the idea that they would be wanting to have their brothers standing next to them on one of their, the biggest days of their life. That, to me, and sometimes it feels really far from that, that idea. Sure. And so, and certainly as we've been, stuck at home, some of the tensions have been getting higher and higher, and the outbursts can seem a little bit more intense or maybe more frequent because we don't have that escape of being around other people or out at school or something like that. So being stuck at home can definitely have play its toll on the sibling rivalry stuff. So a couple things that we were thinking about wanting to encourage of how to really develop that brotherhood or siblinghood and friendships. And so one thing that we've done before a lot for like birthdays and things, I think would come into play really handy here is kind of what we call the hot seat. And Stacy, what is the hot seat about?
So as we're like sitting down for dinner, or we've even done it when we're traveling somewhere in the car, if it's a special day or we just want to honor one of them specifically, we'll just go around and ask everybody to say what they love or appreciate about that brother or sibling.
Yeah. And it really helps to, like you said, bring out the value, but it really helps to also point out the uniqueness that each of them have, because they're not the same people by any means. They've had the same parents and they live in the same home, but they're certainly not the same person. So to really value what makes them individuals is really important, because then it helps the one brother see something that is of value in another. And so that's been a great thing that we've done before. And also we've been thinking about giving the brothers or giving the boys some commonalities. And this is what so like in one side we want to help them value their uniqueness, but also give them some commonalities that can help create teamwork. And so one of them is like give them a common job. And so last week couple of the younger boys were needing some encouragement, and so as I was doing some yard work, they got the common job of picking up some pine cones. Now there was a magical moment where they like thought, well, this is great, and they just were working so good as a team. There was also the promise of some money for every pine cone that they picked up.
So he quickly regretted that decision.
Yeah, because there was way more pine cones than I realized there were, and I said 3 cents for every one pine cone, and there was a lot of pine cones. So whoops, didn't take that into account very, very well. But it still was awesome to see them so quickly form a bond of a common job together, and they were playing well together the rest of the day after that. And then we were talking about having a common goal, which we just saw 2 nights ago, was it?
Yeah.
This was fun. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this was something we didn't even organize for them, but so often they'll get caught up in like a competitive game. They're playing basketball on the trampoline, and it gets competitive so fast. But one of them decided, let's go turn the base. This was at 10 o'clock at night on a school night, but we just go with it. Because
sometimes, you just have to.
Quarantine. So they decided to turn the basement room into like a party room, and they brought in like the shower curtain from the bathroom, and all these LED lights, and music was pumping, and they had snacks. And just a big old dance party in the basement. And
they took some of the decorations that were upstairs and like turned it upside down with the light underneath, so it made like almost like a disco thing or disco light all over the ceiling.
Really creative. So while that was a disruption at 10 o'clock at night when we're thinking they should be getting ready for bed, we just let those moments happen, because we know that's building fun and a bond and something they'll never forget.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's going to be a memory for a long time. Oh, remember that one time when we did that? That was so awesome. That was great. And then we're also thinking about having, this might seem a little counterintuitive actually, but giving them a common enemy. Now, if there's a couple of the boys who have animosity towards each other, I kind of feel like it's okay to maybe help redirect that animosity towards something else or even someone else. Like, I'm okay with them being mad at me if I can help repair the relationship between the two of them, or the 3 of them, or however many. So even a common enemy can be helpful at time, that they can almost fight against something together or someone together. If I have to become the bad guy so they don't label their brother the bad guy for a moment, I'm okay with that. I'm mature enough, I can handle that for the moment, and that's okay with me. So those common things can really, really help. And then if all else fails, we were talking about this just really shortly, have you ever heard of a get-along shirt? If all those things don't work to help calm things, a a get along shirt, which is what? It's just basically a T-shirt, right?
Yeah, just a big T-shirt, and you make them stay in it until they're getting along, like both heads in the one
Through the neck part.
So they're stuck together.
So one arm goes through one side and the one arm goes through the other. And so they're stuck together. That's pretty funny.
I learned in some teaching when I was younger also that when you're in an argument, if you can get the two people to hold hands and look at each other while they're talking and just be that close, the conflict dissolves a lot faster. And so I've done that too, especially when the boys were younger. And it does not take long before they are laughing and totally forget why they were even mad, because they have to be that close and holding each other's hands.
Yeah.
It just feels goofy.
Yeah. Another thing that we were actually talking about with, what do you call a therapist or something? The idea of really practicing active listening. And oftentimes you can see it when people are arguing, you see that they're just trying to get their point across, and they're not really interested in listening to what other people would have to say about that. So really trying to engage that whole listening part of it. And instead of just trying to get your point across or just being understood, a real goal and encouragement to kids and for parents as well is to seek to understand first. So help me understand what they're saying before I try to get you to understand what I'm saying. And that can really, and that's arguments. That's just people 101, maybe 301. That's a couple steps down the road, but really, really helpful that we've seen in our family just these last few weeks. And was there anything else? I think that's probably it. Yeah. Well, good. I hope this has encouraged you, helped you get unstuck. Anything else, babe?
Thanks for joining us on our second date.
Right.
This is our second time just being alone out here on the hammock. So.
Wonderful. I'm not gonna complain. So yeah, glad you joined us today, and until next time, try to get unstuck. Bye.